wish I'd never grown up.
Good morning, Owasso. This is Chad with Owasso Live, and this is the Morning Loop. Sorry I couldn't play the music with that, but YouTube gets really finicky about copyrighted music, so I had to turn it off for the time being. But as you can see from that opener right there, if you're only listening and not able to watch, that is a gay couple that has crowdfunded their own surrogacy journey so that way they could adopt a baby. And as you can see, one of the men, Brandon Keith Riley Mitchell, is a Tier 1 sex offender for soliciting an underage child for sex. And they say the child was 16 years old. So somehow a literal pedo offender that's on the books is able to adopt a child or do a surrogacy or whatever. And that's the new thing that's going on right now is gay people are wanting to pass off their own lineage, which, again, talk about a real first world problem to have. The whole point of being gay was the fact that you are denying yourself a normal life. You can't. This is the LGBT community having their cake and wanting to eat it too. Especially for these two Chubbs cases right here. But this is what's going on. It's like when you are openly or actively being gay, you are rejecting repopulation. You don't get to have a wife. That's the whole point of being gay. Is like I'm rejecting a normal lifestyle, and like gays now are just trying to be normal when they're anything but normal. And this isn't the first time that we've had an issue like this. If you remember this couple from back in the day, we already did a story about this. Gay couple charged with molesting their adopted sons and pimping them out to a pedophile ring, reports claim. Yeah, remember these two guys? Yeah. Openly selling their adopted children to people to have relations with. Sickening stuff. Sickening stuff. And how are we allowing this? How is society allowing this? Only in New York and California could you get away with stuff like this. And I'm pretty sure that these two guys are from New York, and they crowdfunded their surrogacy. So they can't even afford it on their own. It's like there are legitimate women out there that have been trying to have children for years. And these guys are crowdfunding because they want to live like they're a married couple. It's like, it's sickening stuff. It's only, something is wrong in the world when stuff like this is going on. It's very sickening stuff. These guys are creeps, too. Extremely creepy looking dudes. It's really sickening stuff. But I have several articles here pulled up about, we are expected to be we are expected to be okay with not having children. How gay parenthood through surrogacy became a battleground. Well, it's a battleground because it's basically prostitution. You're paying a woman to have a baby. You're paying a woman to not have sex for 9 months. That's the only difference. And then you're robbing them of their mother. You're robbing a child of their mother. That's what's going on here. Like, it is very sickening stuff. Gay couples turn to crowdfunding to raise money for fertility cost. Kyle and Jack Morelli start GoFundMe campaign to cover the cost for their surrogacy after being denied insurance coverage. Yeah, because it's not something that it's not a fertility treatment that you can fix with two men. There's a reason why your insurance company denied it. It's like, well, you two can't get pregnant, so we're not going to pay for this. Pay for it yourself. It's sickening. They're trying to treat them like they're a normal, regular couple, a man and a woman. This is what's going on. Like, gays are demanding more rights than you get. I said, oh, we need to get fertility treatment costs too. It's like, there's a reason why women get fertility treatment costs is because if they go into the workforce and then all of a sudden they're trying to settle down and have a child, yeah, because they skipped their best 20s to wait to have a kid in their 30s. They need it because society, unfortunately, our society and culture has moved it to where it has shifted the goalposts where women don't get married right after high school. Don't get married in your 20s. Wait. Work for a person who doesn't give two craps about you. Worry about your career. That's what's going on. It's sickening stuff that they're like, oh, now gays are demanding these things too. It's like, no, you have rejected a normal lifestyle. You don't get to have a normal life. You don't get to have the picket fence lifestyle when you choose to reject the regular normal lifestyle of having a wife, having kids the normal way. You have rejected that. It is sickening stuff. It really is. I don't understand this. So Kyle and Jack Morelli, a gay couple living in New York, began a GoFundMe in July after their insurance told them they didn't qualify for infertility coverage necessary to cover the cost of embryo transplant. Having a baby through surrogacy can cost up to $250,000, according to the Family Equality and a nonprofit advocate for LGBT things. So basically, that is a active pedo advocacy group. Advocacy group. I can't talk today. But it is 5 in the morning, so we are successfully creating embryos. However, our path to parenthood is fraught with financial challenges due to the exorbitant expenses associated with fertility treatments like surrogacy, vitro fertilization, or IVF. The Morellis, who are married in 2019, wrote on a GoFundMe, despite both of us working tirelessly, an overwhelming burden, the cost of totaling approximately $180K, and climbing is proving to be an insurmountable obstacle. The couple's insurance, Empire Blue Cross Blue Shield, told that the NBC News is now it covers fertility services as mandated by New York state law. On the state website, infertility is defined as part of an incapacity to impregnate another person or conceive due to failure to establish clinical pregnancy after 12 months of regular unprotected sexual intercourse or therapeutic donor insemination, after 6 months of regular unprotected sexual intercourse or therapeutic donor insemination for individual who can conceive at 35 years old age or older. This would not apply to male same-sex couples. Boom! It doesn't, because they can't get pregnant. This is so stupid. The fact that only liberals can get to the point where we have to get so into the weeds about it that they're getting into the law going, look, it just says that unprotected sex or trying to get pregnant. It doesn't say anything about gays or not. Just good Lord. There's a moment where you just think that, common sense would be a place that you could be, but no. These people are constantly looking to try to get more rights. Dave Chappelle was absolutely correct. The Alphabet Mafia constantly tries to get more rights, more and more rights. They're just hey, we'll just be fine with marriage. It's as soon as they get marriage, they're immediately shifting the goalposts. Now you have to accept our marriage. If your church doesn't accept our marriage or you don't bake a cake for us, you will be sued into oblivion. That's what they're doing now. They're moving the goalposts. We just wanted to be happy together and be able to be on each other's insurance. Then we immediately move to the next phase, which is they don't stop. They're going to keep going until if you are going to be a bigot if you don't have sex with a gay person. That's basically what's going to be. You are a homophobic bigot if you don't have sex with a gay person. That's where they're moving to. I mean, we've already had stories like this pop up all over the place. If you don't date a trans, I've seen that we pulled up those articles in previous stories, is if you don't date a trans person, you really are just a transphobic piece of garbage. It's sickening stuff. It's very sickening stuff. I just don't feel like it's fair. It's discriminatory, Jack said of the infertility definitions like the one used in New York State. He added, I feel like there's a stigma that two men can't raise a child together or that men are incapable of raising children on their own. and it's something that we want to stop. There is no man or woman out there that wants to raise a child by themselves. They want a significant other. Generally speaking, if you're raising a child by yourself, it's usually because the spouse has either died or you guys have divorced. And it's not something that they're going to be proud of. It's not something they're going, oh, I want to raise my child all by myself. No. Do you remember when there was a stigma that if you were raising a child by yourself, you were shunned by society? I mean, that was the whole point of girls not being promiscuous, was you don't want to have a kid with a guy that's going to abandon you. But we've shifted the goalposts, like women can't do anything wrong anymore. Society has literally shifted the goalposts to where, oh, women are just strong and independent. You don't need no help from no man. And that's what's wrong with society now. Like, feminism has gone completely overboard. Women can do whatever they want. They can have their cake and eat it too, despite the fact that you can't have a child on your own. You have to have a man for that. And then 2, focus on your career, girl. Focus on your career. Like, society needs to have this Christian reformation that focuses back on the family and women being women, like loving their husbands and wanting to have families. That's where we're at right now in society, is like women are focused on themselves and their careers. And then we run into this problem where they can't have kids through in vitro, or they have to have kids through in vitro because they've waited too long. And then you've got this where homosexuals are being like, no, we want this too. We're just like, but you can't have children because you're homosexuals. I mean, it is ridiculous. It's like they always bring up like the stupid little things like, well, some animals are known to be homosexual. Just like, yeah, but if they are homosexual, they have to have sex with a female to pass on their lineage. It's not this whole stupid thing where like, oh, well, they had sex with another male, or like, like some fish or frogs where they can transition and then they are male, or they can change their sex. Just like, no, that's not how this works. There is no such thing as a butt baby. Anyway, Rose said that they've already spent about $65,000 on fertility costs and said that they expect surrogacy cost another $180,000, and that they have taken out loans against their home and gotten second jobs to help with the cost. So far, the men have raised about $5,000 of their $50,000 GoFundMe goals on GoFundMe. Currently, 20 states besides New York plus Washington, D.C. have laws requiring coverage for infertility, according to the Resolve, the National Infertility Association, and at least 15 of those mandate coverages for in vitro fertilization. Yeah. Sickening stuff. This is where we're at today as society. I mean, they have so many articles about this stuff. And when I pulled this up, I mean, there's just articles after articles of all this. And they're turning it into an issue that they want to have families. Like I said, you shouldn't have a family. If you choose the homosexual lifestyle, you have rejected a family. You have rejected passing on your lineage. If you want to have a partner and you want to have children, stop being gay. It's as easy as that. It's as easy as that. But no, you choose yourself. If you choose the homosexual lifestyle over a family, you're choosing yourself and your desires over a family. That is what's going on here. I don't understand how this is such a big deal issue that we have to worry about this anymore. And then we have to worry about this type of stuff through this. Like, and then they'll argue, well, there are straight couples that do that. It's like, yeah, but less likely to happen. And 2, adopting children, children who are adopted are more likely to be abused than children that they actually give birth to, because you actually have a connection to that child. Like I said, one of those dads, one of those gay fathers, it has no relation to that child whatsoever. And you don't think that plays a factor into how the child is raised? I have no ties to this child. I'm just going to walk away. Yeah, that happens. That is a normal thing that happens in relationships. That's a relationship ruiner in a lot of people's relationships. It's like they think that they can handle raising other people's kids, and they realize that they can't. And I'm talking about both. I'm talking about both sexes in that. Like the wife will not like the husband's children from the previous marriage, and vice versa. The husband doesn't like the wife's children from the previous marriage. It can happen. It ruins relationships. I've heard of relationship ruining things like that, and it's insane. Absolutely insane. But we'll get to some memes that are kind of relevant for today. Yeah. Said that the gay couple who crowdfunded their surrogacy journey has custody of a baby boy, despite partner Brandon Keith Riley Mitchell allegedly being a child sex offender using Pennsylvania surrogacy loophole to bypass the state adoption restrictions on registered predators. Yeah. Sick stuff. This is how bad people circumvent the law. Bad people will find ways to circumvent the law to do evil things. Same with this gay couple over here that were pimping out their children to gay pedophiles. That is what's going on. It's sickening stuff. All right. Then we get down to this one. Everyday American, law-abiding citizen, normal family, and a privileged racist. And if you can tell, it's the mayor. It's one of the new mayors that they have elected. That's literally, he's a first-generation immigrant. So I'm pretty sure he's just fresh off the boat, just like that Zoran Mandani. Law-abiding citizen, a cop being attacked by a guy with a knife. Normal family, the couple that we're literally looking at now, and then the woman that got knocked out at that Cincinnati jazz festival or whatever. It's crazy stuff. Oh, yeah. Speaking of, like, the LGBTQ community and the trans, the French president, I like dudes. The French president's wife, I am a dude. And then President Macron drops the 22-count defamation lawsuit on Candace Owens. When you were right all along is the meme here. Now, I don't know if she's right all along, but if the guy did drop the 22-count suit, that is hilarious. Which goes to show you is that they didn't have a case to begin with. They're just trying to threaten and silence people. Which, that's why I'm glad that we live in America where we have freedom of speech. Because obviously France does not have that. If you're allowed to go after people and sue them for just saying things that you don't like about them, that's crazy. That is absolutely crazy. Oh, yeah, next. Barack Obama. Men need gay friends. And then it's Shane Gill saying, like, you sound like a potential homosexual. It's funny. I love Shane Gillis. Oh, yeah. Then there's this right here. Never forget, the lefties were completely silent about this stuff. And it's Joe Biden sniffing and kissing kids. Maybe this is why the left is so obsessed with LGBTQ and protecting criminals, is because, it keeps the focus off of creepy Joe Biden and the other crimes that they're committing regularly. Gross stuff. It is gross stuff. Oh, yeah. This one's crazy. Check this out. See if I can get this sound to come on here. There we go. Okay, here we go.
I successfully sued my sperm donor, and now I get 40% of his paycheck.
I'm the sperm donor, and yes, I've been court-ordered to pay roughly 40% of my paycheck to this random woman and her child. I did sign an agreement at the time stating that I would not be held liable for anything that happens to the sperm after I donated it, but I guess some laws changed, and she found a legal loophole. This is just unfair.
I successfully sued my sperm donor.
Yeah. Protect yourselves, kings. This is why you don't donate sperm. This is why you don't do stuff like this, because there are crazy women out there like that that'll sue you. He has to pay child support for donating sperm. That is crazy. That is insane. So this is why it's not even safe, because think about this. Think about women could sue. If this opens up the door that women could come back and sue and take their children back from gay couples, which at this point I would be okay with. But that's what they're opening the door for with stuff like this, where if a guy has to pay child support for donating sperm, women could easily sue to take their babies back from people that they've lent them out to adoption to. Easily. Scary stuff. Absolutely scary stuff. Ah, yes. Said, if you like this, then you're a fascist. And it's Sydney Sweeney doing the new American Eagle commercial where she's wearing the jeans. And then it's a kid going, hey, Dad, I think I'm a fascist. Because they're like, if you like this, you're a fascist. It's good stuff. Of course. This is one of the reasons why the left is losing men, are losing boys and men, young men especially, is because things that young boys, especially young hormonal teenage boys like, the left is like, that's evil. Why would you like something like this? I don't know. Probably because they're a hormonal teenage boy and they like pretty girls. That's how society and how the world has worked for hundreds of thousands of years. And from yesterday. And once again, the suspect is not white, so we will be ending all coverage of this event. Yeah, that is how the mainstream media operates. Remember, because that was the big joke yesterday, was the suspect was white. CNN constantly kept saying that the suspect was white, and so were other media organizations too. Now, it's possible that they didn't know, but from the picture, there was no way that guy was white. But CNN, the most trusted name in news, suspect white, Maryland dad, peaceful protest, sharp as attack. Yeah, that's CNN's news coverage for you. And it's no wonder that they're bleeding subscribers, they're bleeding watchers. The only people who are watching the news anymore like that are like 60 plus. And that generation is going to disappear really quick. Absolutely insane. But that's really all I've got for today. Said the only thing that I can kind of follow up on is some of the stuff that happened yesterday. Is a lot of people are coming up with the whole saying that shooting, he wasn't targeting the NFL, and they say that there were only 2 anonymous sources that said that they found that note in his pocket saying that he was targeting the NFL because of his CTE, which is from getting brain damage from getting too many concussions from playing football. The kid never worked or played in the NFL. Now, it's possible he was just crazy and just thought that from watching like the movie Concussion or whatever. But the other thing is like, since we've heard the people in the ramblings of the lady that said that he was yelling Free Palestine, and there was another lady there that got arrested for yelling that while the police got there. The other big conspiracy theory around this now because there's no proof of this yet, because the investigation is ongoing, but the big thing is it was also the NFL headquarters, but it was also Blackstone's, the real estate and investment company Blackstone's headquarters as well. And that's what he went up to. The 33rd floor was Blackstone's headquarters. And there was a Blackstone employee that I'm pretty sure was a higher up that was shot and killed. So the big theory now is, and Blackstone's one of the biggest donors to Israel, and it's the biggest supporters of Israel. So that's the big conspiracy theory now, is they think that they were targeting Blackstone because of that. Now, again, there's no evidence of that. That's just what people are claiming online. But that source about the whole, but if it's an anonymous source that won't come forward, that's how it holds about as much weight as the NFL one does. Because, we found a note in his pocket. Source is not saying who they are. And considering the fact that they get so hush-hush about an investigation and releasing information to the public, how on earth did this get released? That, he was there to stop the NFL. 2 anonymous sources say. So, we don't know. Option 1, he was a crazy guy that just wanted to shoot some people up, that drove all the way to New York to shoot up a building with people in it. 2, he was a former high school football player, had brain damage, blamed the NFL for him. Maybe he had dreams of grandeur of becoming an NFL player, so he was punishing the NFL for his brain damage. Or 2, or I should say 3, actually. They were after Blackstone for either their pro-Israel stance or because Blackstone is one of the biggest property real estate owners in the country, and he's a Gen Z kid that can't really afford it to do anything. And he is taking revenge on the company that he views as the people stealing away his future. That's what we've got. Those are the big conspiracy theories right now. I wait for the investigation, but that was what was kind of tumbling around on the news last night and all day yesterday. So I just thought that was interesting and thought I would share it with y'all. But this has been Chad with Owasso Live. This was the Morning Loop. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe so you too can stay in the loop. But that is really all I've got for today. So I will catch you all in the next one. So I will see you later, everybody.
Should we be surprised that a company whose name is literally American Eagle is making fascist propaganda like this? Probably not, but it's still really shocking. Like, a blonde-haired, blue-eyed white woman is talking about her good genes. Like, that is Nazi propaganda. Should we be surprised that a company whose name is literally American